Are you a noob, a hacker, or a pro at taking notes? In this video, we're going to look at how you can power up your note-taking. At its simplest, a base level, taking notes means to record information. This can mean that you are writing down your notes at a lecture, or maybe you're annotating a book, or you're recording a fleeting thought you've had while you were having a coffee. Or you may save an email, you may take a screenshot, you may record a quote from a movie. The content doesn't matter. What matters is that you've committed an idea or a thought to paper so you can do something with it later. Capturing notes consistently is the key step to unlock the full potential of a knowledge management system. How many times did you have a great idea or a great intuition and then forgot about it? Well, capturing solves exactly that. So how do you capture notes? Well, that depends on you, but in general, you should use the quickest way possible to capture notes so you don't lose them. In my case, I tend to use my iPhone or my iPad because they're always on me and because the majority of the notes that I take are digital anyway. But I also like to capture stuff using pen and paper, if I can, because I like the immediacy of writing on paper. You can pick the tool you want, just make sure it adds minimal friction, because a great idea that you don't manage to capture before you forget it is a wasted idea. The key thing you want to achieve is that you capture your idea really quickly. Later on, you can make that note prettier, neater, more concise, more detailed, whatever you want. But it's all possible if you've captured that idea in the first place. This idea of rewriting notes is exactly the second part of our collection stage. Once you've captured the note, you can then review it and rewrite it. And my suggestion is that you always rewrite your notes using your own words, your own style and voice. These will make the idea stick, but also will prevent the illusion of competence, which is the problem that you have when you believe you've understood something, but in reality you haven't. By rewriting things with your own words, you can actually check whether your understanding of a particular subject is sound or not. Rewriting notes is a key step in any note-taking system, but unfortunately is a step which is often forgotten. The other benefit of rewriting notes is that you can make them future-proof. You need to ask yourself, if I pick up this note in a year's time, or maybe in 2 years' time, will I still be able to understand it? Often the answer is no, and that means you need to rewrite your note thinking of your future self. Add some details, add some context, make sure that in a few years' time that note is still usable. This is especially important if you handwrite your notes and you write very quickly. If you're not able to read your own writing, that note will be useless. Now, just a thought on organization. The more notes you have, the more you may want to think about how to organize them. The standard way of doing that is to create folders and subfolders. I know some people who use tons of folders. Other people only use tags. Personally, I always want to use as few folders as I can get away with. And there are two reasons for that. The first reason is that I want to try and preserve the ability of my notes to resurface in the future. I want to protect their visibility. And I find that if I bury them under layers and layers of folders, I effectively make them invisible. On the other side, having two unrelated notes next to each other in one big folder increases the chances of rediscovering one of these two notes while I'm doing something else, while I'm checking another note. And the second reason is that I personally don't work too well with folders and subfolders. I always have these situations that unless there is a very clear separation between what goes in one folder and what goes in the other folder, I know that at some point I will find myself in a situation where I have a note that fits in both folders, I wouldn't know where to put it, and that breaks my trust in the system. Once you have collected your notes, it is time to power up to the next level, the pro level. This is the level of connectors. As the name suggests, connectors are able to connect their notes. A good moment to connect your notes is exactly the moment you insert them in your system, when they are just in front of you. But many people skip this. And I think the reason is that when they have that note in front of them at that point, all of those connections are very obvious because everything is very fresh in their minds. The problem is, with these connections, you don't have to think about today. You should think about a year, maybe 2 or 5 years from now. The value of those connections will grow over time, and it will reach its peak exactly when you start forgetting about all the other connections, all the other notes. Creating notes today is effectively an investment in your ability to understand and use your notes in the future. So my recommendation is that you create those connections as soon as you put new notes in the system, but also that you review regularly your existing notes to see whether new connections can be created. Of course, don't create connections just for the sake of it. There is no need to force connect ideas. You will just end up cluttering your system. Connect notes only when it naturally makes sense to do so. You can define your preferred linking style. The only thing to be aware of is that ideally you should keep your notes at the atomic level, so every note should be related to one single idea, and your links should point to additional ideas related to that, so you can click and move from one note to the other at the speed of thought. Anyway, the key question is, what should I link my notes to? That depends, of course, on your personal preferences, on the subject you're studying, and probably on lots of other things. But as a rule of thumb, I tend to use a framework which I've called the BASO framework. BASO stands for before, after, similar, and opposite. And I picture the notes that I'm working on as a train. And this train is on a track. It's coming from a station and it's going to a different station. These are the before and after stations. So if I want to connect my idea to the station before, I'm basically connecting it to its parent idea. And the after station would be a more detailed idea that comes from this one. The other two directions, similar and opposite, I picture as people jumping on the same train, so these will be similar ideas, or getting off the train to move in a different direction. These will be the opposite ideas. And as the names suggest, similar ideas will be ideas that expand my train of thought more or less in the same direction, while opposite ideas will be ideas that diverge, potentially completely, from this current idea. If you keep your notes simple, the so-called atomic notes, where every note is about a single idea, linking them becomes easier. The last thing I want to say about the BASO framework is that I'm aware this is not a very catchy name, so if you can come up with something better, please let me know in the comments. You should also decide what tool you want to use to collect and connect your notes. I personally use an app called Obsidian, which I love, but it's not the only way. You could use a bullet journal, you could use a whiteboard. I mean, at the end of the day, the original Zettelkasten model, which is so popular today, was entirely based on pen and paper. If you review and link your notes consistently and regularly, their value will grow massively over time. And that's irrespective of the tool that you use to manage them. So pick a tool and stick to it. Once you start connecting notes, it is only a matter of time before you start coming up with new ideas. These are original pieces generated by you, and that means that you've entered the next level. That's the hacker level. At this level, you can tinker with existing ideas and create new ones. You basically produce more value than the sum of parts. Strangely, it is easier to operate at this level than at the level below, because if you've connected your notes well, and if you continue to connect your notes regularly, you're pretty much guaranteed to come up with new ideas. And of course, as soon as you have new ideas, you can continue the process. You can connect them to existing ideas and repeat to the level that you want. Maybe at some point you'll write a book. Who knows? In my case, these ideas end up in these videos because my original ideas are the scripts for these videos. Operating at the hacker or creator level is only possible if you've done your stuff well 2 levels below, because everything starts with taking good notes. If you want to know more about how to take good notes, have a look at this video. For now though, thank you very much for watching and see you next time.